Well, I have finally arrived back home after a big USA/Canada trip covering every Six Flags park in the East Coast area and also up in Canada. Now, speaking of Canada, I of course had to visit Canada's Wonderland for the new for 2025 record-breaking multi-launch coaster called Alpenfury. And well, we arrived to the park 20 minutes earlier than the opening times, but it was too late. The park had already opened, so we ran to Alpenfury and the line was already over 2 hours long. But then finally, after waiting in this huge cattle pen line for over 2.5 hours, we finally rode Alpenfury one time and I sat in row 6. So I'm of course gonna judge this ride experience based on my row 6 ride, this one and only ride, so let's go. First of all, I must say this multi-launch coaster is really impressive and punchy. And is it the best in the park? Find out later in this review. Yes, keep on going. Now, first of all, let's talk about one major thing, the ride restraints, and how comfortable are those? Well, they are not that comfortable. And well, I could say I'm 6'4", 6'4.5" with shoes, and my thighs, well, they barely fit in this roller coaster. You have this lap bar restraint, but it's quite sharp. I don't really know why they have made it that sharp, because it feels like you have some, big knives digging in your thighs, and on top of that, you have these shin guards just like on RMCs, but those shin guards on Alpenfury were way better because they were soft. But I will still take RMC restraints over this one because of the big lap bar digging in my thighs. But now finally, let's talk about the ride experience, the most important thing about this roller coaster. The train then slowly goes out of the station, turns to the right, and you hit that sharp, short and aggressive launch, which flies into a great airtime moment right here and goes downwards to the right. This is where the coaster goes through the Wonder Mountain tunnel and the awesome launch, taking it to the maximum speed of 115 km/h/71 mph. And this launch is also punchy and aggressive, but you won't have time to think about that because then you fly vertically up out of the mountain and into this weird looking profile inside Top Hat with a twist. Now, this is the tallest element at the ride, coming in at 50 meters/164 feet, and at the top you can feel this floaty experience, but the awesome twisted drop after that is whippy and filled with airtime and laterals, of course. After that, you fly low to the ground over the walkways in Canada's Wonderland, and you have this big drawn out wave turn, but it doesn't do that much. You can only feel the speed. But then the riders fly through a big 0G stall, and well, you can feel the 0Gs. It's smooth and floaty, and there's a lot of whip flying in and out of the element. Then we have the weird turnaround section where the riders bank to the right, goes upwards through a lot of positive G-forces, and well, at the top you have this very whippy dive loop element, and yeah, it's whippy, it's awesome, great laterals, yes, move on. And then without catching your breath, the ride quickly flies into this big drawn out banana roll looking element with 2 inversions, and those 2 rolls are just very whippy, and you have a bit of floating stall to the side also. Then quickly after that, you have the so-called fire serpent roll, which is basically an upwards barrel roll, and then after that a downwards barrel roll drop. And yes, these 2 rolls are very whippy and sharply profiled, amazing. Then the coaster mixes in a decent negative G-force heavy airtime moment over the pathway, and after that you have a typical 0G roll. That final inversion is decent and floaty, but nowhere near the intensity of the other elements. And then after a small ejector filled pop, you hit the final brake run on this relentless roller coaster at Canada's Wonderland. Yeah, that pretty much sums up the best roller coaster Premier Rides has ever made, with a total of 9 inversions and a track length of 1 km/3,281 feet. Oh well, you can already hear that I'm quite impressed with Alpenfury, but is it the best roller coaster in the park because we have a lot of B&M giants here? Well, it is. I love Alpenfury and it is better than Leviathan. But I have to point one thing out. My brother said to me that he saw a video where some people said that Alpenfury was just as good as Fury 325, even better, and well, that's just cap. That's not true in my opinion, of course. Fury 325 is on another level. Alpenfury is just a very lengthy, intense, fast-paced and unique roller coaster, but it is still very smooth and awesome work right here, Premier Rides. But the only big and negative thing about this rides are the restraints, because they are quite uncomfortable, and when I hit those final airtime hills, they were painful because those lap bars, ooh. Now, I don't really know if that's just me, my height and my big fonder thighs. Please let me know in the comments. Now, because of that huge 2 to 3 hour line at Alpenfury, because it has just opened, I couldn't really try this roller roller coaster more than once, so I don't really know if it's a back row, front row, or middle section. I don't know, man. With that being said, what am I going to give Alpenfury out of 10? I am going to give Alpenfury 9 penguins out of 10. I would personally say that Alpenfury is just like if RMC made an inversion-based roller coaster with their iBox track. And then you might scale down the intensity in terms of G-forces just a bit. That is also the reasoning for the score, of course, and including those restraints. Ooh, they are not nice for me. But luckily this roller coaster mainly focuses on inversion, so that's nice. Now I really want to know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree or do you disagree with my review of Alpenfury? And then at the end of the day, I'm always gonna say bye bye.